Welcome to the fourth episode of Kaylin's Lens, unscripted and unfiltered. I am so beyond excited for today's episode to be talking about one of my favorite subjects ever, which is money. Money is literally something that I feel like is such a taboo in today's society. Nobody wants to have the conversations about money. Nobody wants to be having these conversations, especially from where I'm from, about our finances and what we can do to create better wealth and what we can actually do to help each other to improve our wealth. Nobody wants these conversations because I feel like I said, there's this stigma. There's this, we can't talk about finances. It's such like, why would you want to discuss your finances and this and that? But I want to change that. The truth is I love talking about money. I love having those adult conversations and those conversations of like, okay, so what are we going to do to grow our money? What are you doing that's going to grow your business and scale your business? Like, what are we actually doing and what are we actually going to do that helps us create more wealth? Wealth that we can use in whatever way we want to use it. Whether that be to, for me, I want to, in the future, once I've lived my dreams and done all the goals that I want to do, is to donate so much to philanthropy, to little kids in Africa that haven't had the opportunities that I have had, you know? And so for me, having the real and honest conversations about what I can do to get to that position is just everything. And so in today's episode, I really want to delve in to money and all the things that I have learned that have allowed me to create financial stability, financial independence, improve my credit score, which if you asked me 6 months ago what a credit score was, I would have absolutely no idea on the value of it, but also allow us to get real about what it's like to live at uni and the reality that no one is talking about. University isn't just emotionally and mentally draining, it's financially overwhelming too. Your maintenance loan doesn't cover everything. And that was my reality this year. Last year, it covered my rent and it covered my circuit laundry. But this year, it doesn't even cover my rent. I'm having to find an extra 3,500 just for my rent. That doesn't include transport. That doesn't include food. That doesn't include the money to enjoy myself. That doesn't include like my phone bill. That doesn't include anything of that scale. And so I had to find that extra 3,500 just to find a place to live. But I also have wanted to stick by my pledges of financial independence. For me, financial independence has always been important. I don't want to be relying on my mum and dad. I'm 18. I am an adult. And quite frankly, I want my mum and dad to be able to enjoy the money that they have worked their asses for every single day of the week, day in, day out, hour after hour. I want them to enjoy their money for themselves. I don't want to have to be ringing up mummy and daddy and asking them, oh, can you send me some money because I haven't got any? Oh, can you send me some money because it's just not, it's just too hard. Like, I don't want that. I don't want to have those conversations of begging someone for money. I don't want it. The only thing my parents ever have offered to, in my eyes, for me, is that I asked them for and they accepted was to do my first food shop. And after that, I was like, no, it's all on me. I don't want to ask you for money. I'm not going to ask you for money. And I haven't asked for money. And so for me, this episode is all about the reality of student finances, how I have learned to budget after last year just living recklessly and not having a lot of money left over. I don't know why I've just changed my accent. And the steps I take to live below my means while still creating space and happiness to do the things that I enjoy. So I want you to ask yourselves this. What is your relationship with money right now? Are you avoidant, where you don't like checking your bank account? You are just, money's this, I'll pay it off later. I won't even bother looking at it. Or are you in control and you know how to be financially responsible with money? You know what it takes to grow your money. Are you in survival? Or are you actually living? And in this part, I really want to just cover the weight of finances because uni life is so much more than the common discussions that people are on about. When I was going to uni and applying to uni, I thought my maintenance loan was going to cover my accommodation. I thought I was not going to have to work and I could focus on my studies. And that quickly became untrue. I was winging it bearing in mind. And I quickly became into a point where I just didn't have financial stability in my life. I was having to work as well just to be able to fund it because the reality is your maintenance loan doesn't cover it. And for me, learning about how to budget properly became a way not just to survive, but it made me feel in control for once. It made me feel in control of my money and my finances. So I really want you to consider, do you actually know where your money is going every single month? Or are you kind of just like the type of person that's just like, oh, you know what? I have this amount a month. I'll just hope it lasts with absolutely no plan whatsoever. And so for me, one framework that has changed my life was the 65-20-15 split. And I want to credit Nischa Shah for this on her episode of The Diary of a CEO, because hadn't I listened to that episode, I wouldn't have known about this specific framework. 65% of your budget has to go towards needs, whether that be accommodation, whether that be your food bill, your transport, your phone bill. For me as well, like life insurance, 65% of my income goes towards those things automatically every single month. 20% of my income goes to my wants, my enjoyments, whether that be buying some new clothes, whether that be getting a haircut, because quite frankly, I do need one right now. And I am kind of just growing it out because I just want to see what styles. That's not the point. 20% goes towards eating out, going to events, going to the cinema, going to the theatre. That's what 20% of my wage goes to. And 15% is me living below my means because I save 15% of my wage a month. At me, the minimum that I will ever put into my trading 212 is 50 quid a month, which I think is quite reasonable for a uni student. 10 quid as well on top of that 50 goes into my employee share scheme. And for me, I'm quite thankful for that I've worked with the same company for 3 years and it's coming up to its maturity date. So that's kind of added a value. So for me, those two steps of investing in the stock market allows me to grow my money for the future. And anything kind of left over kind of goes into a holiday fund, which I know you're all going to be like, that's a one, that's not a saving. For me, I've always seen holidays as an investment because when I've been on holidays, I went to Budapest and I literally grew so much. And for me, growing and learning is such a life revolving thing. Like we are forever living and growing. And so me investing that amount of whatever's left allows me to have those experiences whilst being at uni, which is financially difficult for a lot of people to have. And as alongside that, I make intentional plans. After I've done that for the month, I make intentional plans for the week. One of the first things I instantly do is I plan when I'm going to have my meals. I'm going to plan what I'm going to have for each meal. And when I do that, I then create my shopping list and I do one big shop a week. Had I not do that, I know for a fact I'll just spend a couple of bits here at Co-op and I'll get some Tang Fastics if I wanted it last year. Which, to be fair, I actually haven't had Tang Fastics in like 6 months, which is actually kind of scary for me. They're such a, like my favorite sweet, but I just haven't because I've been on like this whole health kick, cutting out ultra processed foods journey, which I actually like. Oh, that's going to be such a great episode to discuss. It's like ultra processed microplastics, but that's not the point. The point is I do that one food shop, and that then allows me to have the ingredients that I want to use to create all my delicious meals, as well as also saving me so much time of having to just choose what I want to have. Saves me so much energy because I've decided, you know what, I'm going to have this meal instead today. I'm going to have this, and I'm not going to have to consider going out and finding meals. But that doesn't stop there. Like, I still eat out at least twice a month. I make it a priority to eat out twice a month, whether that be on my own, whether that be with friends if we're going to go to the park. Like, I'm going to the Richmond Park this weekend with one of my closest friends. Um, and yeah, we're going to have a meal, we're going to have brunch, which, if you're a northerner, you have absolutely no idea what it is because I still really don't whenever I say it. Um, but yeah, like we're gonna literally go to Richmond and I'm gonna be able to have the enjoyment as well as, and I plan that into that weekly meal plan. I plan when I'm going to do those things because then I can budget of when to batch cook. It's me taking these steps that allows me to create intentional plans. Another plan I created was during the summer. I sketched out on average how much I'd need for food per semester, how much I need for transport, how much I need for laundry. So I knew how much I'd have to save before uni even started, as well as how much I'd need to save whilst I'm at uni working. And for me, I work about 12 hours a week, which I think is optimal amount. If you want more and you want to pick up extra shifts, that's fine. That's your decision. What you choose to do is yours. But for me, I felt like that was an optimal amount with the amount that I had intentionally planned to save. And so all of those things put together, the 65, 20, 15 budgeting, the weekly habits that have helped keep me balanced and I still have the enjoyment to life, has allowed me to create financial stability in my life. And so I really want you to think, are you spending money in a way that actually supports you? Or are you just spending money based on impulse? And another thing to note is no one teaches you this. No one teaches you how to budget properly. No one teaches you about how to invest. No one teaches you about limiting your spending now could actually grow your wealth for the future. These were conversations I'd never had with anyone in Colville, which I am not surprised about because it's something that the people of Colville don't want to have a conversation about, especially my age group, because it feels like to me the only thing that a lot of people my age are more bothered about is going to the club and drinking and partying. Nobody wants to be having the conversations about what we can do to limit our wealth right now, but grow it for the future. And so I'm going to start trading 212. I have a stocks and shares ISA. So any money I'm making in that is tax free. Any money I put into that, once it's already been taxed, if it gets taxed, that money stays. That money just sits there. And so on trading 212, I have two pies. I have a pie which combines the Vanguard S&P 500 alongside the Vanguard FTSE 100. And for those of you that don't know, the S&P 500 is the top 500 companies in America. They are the top 500 in every different sector put into one group. So what you do is if I put £10, that £10 is divided over 500 different companies. So it is a low risk but I'd want to say a low reward, but you can get a higher reward or a higher return on investment than if you had put your money into a normal savings account. Because on average, year by year, the S&P 500 grows about 8 to 10% on average. Some years it might do better, some years it might do worse and actually have a loss. But on average, if you leave your money in there, it is known to grow. And alongside that, to divulge and to invest in the UK, because that is the country I'm living in, that is the country that I was born in, is the FTSE 100, which is the UK's equivalent, but for the top 100 companies in the UK. And so I invested in both. That 50 quid minimum gets put into both. Alongside that, I have the BlackRock moderate ARR pie. And what I do with that is I have put a lump sum in, and as and when I will top it up and I will put some more. But for me, that is a more moderate, very long term, slightly higher interest rate. So I am beating inflation and I create a higher return on investment on that money. And it's those simple things is we're all taught, oh yeah, just put it into a savings account. You're gonna make a lot, you're gonna make money compounding, whatever this and that. But it's just simply not true, and it doesn't work in today's society, especially with interest rates beginning to fall. It's not gonna cut it. You want your money to grow so much higher than inflation. You want it to grow right now higher than at least 3.5%. Savings accounts might not even cover that. Whereas the FTSE 100 and the S&P 500, investing into those, you make higher returns on investment. So far, on the money that I've put in, I'm going to get so real. I have made about 4.5% return on investment. 4.5%, which is so much higher than a savings account. And that's in about 2 months' time, 2 months period that I would have made across an entire year. So if your money isn't working for you, I strongly advise investing. Because what's stopping you from learning about all these different investment tools and how you can make your money work for you? Growing up as well, I was always taught that credit cards were bad. But the truth is, the only reason they are bad is about how you use them, not the actual credit card. What I do is that 20% that I was speaking about earlier, I put that amount of money that I have got set aside, I spend that money, but I spend it on my credit card. Because what I do is before the payment date, I pay it off fully. And that amount of money goes into my stocks and shares cash ISA, which is going to be tax free on any amount that I'm going to make below 20,000. And it is creating me more money by the day. And I see the amount it's making by the day because compound interest, small things growing over time. And what I do is then I'll take that out because it's easy access. And that money has allowed me to grow a couple of extra pennies, a couple of extra pounds within that month. But that's more money in my bank, all by using a credit card and ensuring that I pay it off before that payment date. And another thing that nobody talks about is a credit score. By me taking those steps, I am actively building my credit score. That's why I've reached the point now where I'm in an excellent category in the top 10% of people in the entirety of the UK's credit scores because I've took the steps to learn that having a credit card and using it wisely can have benefits because the credit score will benefit me in the future. Will it benefit me if I wanted to buy a house? Do I? I don't know in today's market. If I want to buy a house to rent, if I want to get a loan, if I want to get anything, putting that money onto that card allows me to have so much more for the future. But remember, you have to make sure that you pay it off, otherwise, it ruins the entire thing. But alongside that as well, I always look out for reward schemes. And I think it's such a valuable thing is you should really ask your employer if they have like a reward scheme. I'm very fortunate that mine does, where I can save 4% at supermarkets, which might not sound a lot, but that's like a pound every shop. If I'm shopping once a week, that's 50 quid I've saved a year. That 50 quid, no offense, will get me to a flight to Budapest. That would get me to a flight to Rome if it was on sale. That 50 quid will get me a nice item of clothing. And I use uni days and I use student beans because every little amount that I could possibly save counts. And so I really want you to consider this. Do you see money as something that you fear or something that you can learn how to master? But alongside it, I think you have to be really, really careful with what you're actually spending your money on. I was so into fast fashion in regards to clothing. Growing up, everyone would know me as that I was such like a boohoo man kind of guy going through that phase of boohoo man tracksuits, buying fast fashion, next day delivery, and all of that. But now I so much regret that because the quality was worse and it's not forever lasting. And now I focus on longer lasting pieces, whether that be an expensive thing from Zara, Bershka, H&M, Pull and Bear, because I am so much more about quality over quantity. I am so much more about having clothes that are gonna last a really long time than clothes that just aren't. So before I even buy the items, I have to ask myself, do I absolutely need it? And if yes, I will get it. If not, I will wait 3 days. And if I still want it after those 3 days, then I'll get it. And I think it's about having that cautious spending mindset that can really catapult and change your life and allows you to do so much more by actively taking steps to consider what you're spending your money on. Even with laundry, it's so expensive to do a load of laundry. It's like £4 to just wash your clothes, and that doesn't include drying it. So I took the measures of buying an aero, and I'll just dry my clothes instead on the aero. And lo and behold, it'll dry within about 1 to 18 hours. And it's life changing because I'm saving so much money that way as well. So I really want you to think, are your purchases being driven by a want or are they being actually driven by, what, they have a purpose and they have a meaning? But it's important to remember it's not, life isn't just about saving, it's about a balance. Even though I live below my means today, I still find so much joy in life. Whether that be going on solo days, whether that be going on a coffee shop trip, with my friends to go study, whether that be going to the movies and the theatre, whether that be going to watch the football or going to a bar or going to a pub and having real, deep, meaningful conversations, whether that be going for a walk around central London, whether that be going for a walk, as in like Richmond Park, for example, as well. Those small investments that I make within myself keep me grounded and happy. And it's for you to decide what makes you happy. But you have to ensure that you're going to live below your means to build that future for yourself, that future for your kids, that future for your future partner, that future house that you've always dreamt of. But remember, how can you enjoy your life today without sabotaging your future self? So I really want you to think, and I really want you to just take every single lesson from this. Because don't get me wrong, managing finances at uni can be so incredibly tough, but it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy life. Having structure, having smart spending skills, and making intentional choices about what you buy and your freedoms, it's not about restriction. It's about making sure that your money works for you. And so, the best thing that I want you to remember is that you can live a life that fulfills you right now, but is also building towards the future that you could ever dream of. So, what is one financial habit that you could start this week to create a more secure and joyful future for yourself? So, until next week's episode, please remember, invest in yourself, invest in your wealth, and invest in you.